The Legend of Zelda franchise is synonymous with the word adventure, with exploration, with wonder and action and everything that comes along with it. However, what that has meant has evolved over time. When early humans were exploring Hyrule through 1986's The Legend of Zelda for the NES, the adventure was contained, it was defined, it was linear. Up until 2017, the franchise was synonymous with that word as well. I grew up a Zelda fan. I continue to consider the franchise my absolute favorite, and I've watched every title come and go, largely beholding themselves to that same concept of linearity that many lament recent Zelda games for dismissing. But what does it mean for a game to be linear? The optimist would say that it means the objectives are defined, the journey refined, and the environment aligned with both, not swelling too large to feel empty or useless. On the other side of that coin, Eiji Aonuma, veteran game designer, director, and producer whose influential work has molded the Zelda fan experience since Ocarina of Time, considers linear gaming to be restrictive, confining, limited even, and in no uncertain terms a thing of the past. Personally, I think the truth lies somewhere in between. There's a balance to be struck here. In fact, we may be closer to it than we think. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are considered open-world games. They both afford the player the unique opportunity to investigate whichever areas they see fit in whatever order they see fit. No longer do you have to earn the favor of MC Hammer to leave the forest or await the acquisition of a cane that allows you to flip out of the ground like a gymnast with a belly full of caffeine. However, that doesn't mean that the game's true objective is undefined. The ability to access different plot points or different parts of the map doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have to eventually go slap Ganon right in his Piggly Wiggly. You get to decide how, and even when, to get there. And I think that's great. I really do. When Aonuma called linear games a thing of the past, he said that he expects the series to continue to offer as much freedom to the player as possible. And I think this freedom is a good thing. I enjoy having the opportunity to roam about the world, exploring and checking things off of my list, and adding things to my list, and doing other things, and forgetting about what I was originally doing, and then hey, what the heck is that thing? My point is, open-world Zelda appeals to me and to many others given the numbers, and as such, the concept is probably here to stay. But it's not as far from classic Zelda as it might seem. Really, it all just depends on how you choose to play it. If you want a linear experience, you can have it. You can follow the quest objectives, and by golly, if you're better than me and you've got more self-control than a cat in a fish market, you can adhere to those objectives, stick to the path, and check them off quite linearly. And I think that is what's missed in this conversation. When I see it out in the wild, it's always binary, either or, linear versus open world, when really what modern Zelda has opened up most of all is the ability to play as you desire, to have both. Porque no los dos. We may yet still get a dedicated classic Zelda game. Super Mario Bros. Wonder took us back to the franchise's roots, and it did extraordinarily well. Not just for what it was, but in general. And we know Nintendo as a company is not afraid of doing whatever the heck it wants. And who knows? Maybe Nintendo does decide that it wants another 2D or otherwise dungeon crawly Legend of Zelda. I know a non-zero amount of fans would be tickled pink at the idea of it. Personally, I'm just excited for anything Zelda at all. And I can admit a certain level of nostalgia surrounding some of the earlier titles and the relatively linear theme that they carried. But even if modern Zelda has become the new normal, I think we're in good shape as fans. Because in the end, Zelda will be Zelda. Link will be Link, Ganon will be Ganon, Beetle will be Beetle.
Thank you!
There's a certain air and personality and spirit to the Zelda franchise that I don't think can be pinpointed or pegged just to linearity alone. So while the franchise continues to change, continues to adapt, and continues to grow, I think we can take solace in that. Things are changing, and it feels weird, but we have the ability to make of it what we want. And isn't that a good thing?